So the next day then we're going to leave Killarney and make our way over to Dingle. And for me, I think Dingle is probably my most favourite part of this entire journey. Certainly the bottom part of the Gallarus Peninsula is out of this world. The Ring of Kerry is absolutely beautiful. It's a lot bigger, but I think mile for mile the Dingle Peninsula packs more of a punch. I just think, you know, you're even though it's probably the smallest of the peninsulas here, it just seems to have an awful lot more going for it mile for mile. You're never out of the really good stuff. So it's my favourite piece. So as I said, on this day we're going to leave Killarney and we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to go straight out and onto the peninsula. And then from the peninsula here, we're going to basically kind of zigzag our way across. We're going to go from the southern bit to the northern bit, do all this section, back down towards Dingle itself, do a big loop out and then come out this way before looping back in and finishing in Dingle. So as I said, rather than going out by here on the N70 and coming in the top road, come in the lower road here and take this mountain road that cuts right across the mountains into to the north coast of it, into camp. And the reason we do this is we take this road here, which is called the Caherconree Pass. That's a beautiful pass. I mean, really, really stunning. If I just go to this street view here, hopefully you get an idea of what it looks like. That's the wrong section of it. So you can see the pass goes up over this mountain, but the view back over the bay, so that's the Ring of Kerry in the distance. You'll come up over the mountain here. There's a beautiful river running down along it, and then you get to the far side. And just something to note, the far side of it is extremely steep, so just expect that when you're coming down the back end of it. That'll drop you down by camp. Then we'll go down onto the coast road, and then along this coast road we're going to take a detour here, and it's a dead end. Point number 4 is just to make sure you keep on the road, but then you get to point number 5, and then this is Glantina Sig Forest Park. Now there's no official road here, but where we're actually trying to get up to is up here to these there's a beautiful lake up here. The entrance to the park is here. And once you come off the road here, it basically turns into a dirt track. So if I can just go to street level here, hopefully you'll get to see what I'm talking about. Come on, just click in there. So you can see I'll just follow the road here. I think I've gone too far. Yeah, there's the entrance there. So I'll just click here. So that's the entrance, and then that turns into gravel. And when you go up here, you're going to follow the road up straight and then take a left and follow the dirt track all the way up till you get to here. If I can just click on some of these photos, you might see why we're going up. So there's the lake. It's a really, really stunning little spot. There's a little car park at the top that you can go and have a look at it from. I think I have some aerial footage. If I do, I'll include it here. But that's what we're going in to see effectively. It's absolutely stunning. Well worth the trip up. If you're on a sports bike, don't even attempt it. It turns into nothing but rubble and rock to get up to it, unless you wanted to walk up, which you could do. But from here to here is just pure off-road. finished, you'll come back down and get back onto the coast road. And then from here, we're going to go out and we're going to take in Castle Gregory Beach. And from there, we're going to go out this little peninsula here and out to the Maharees Beach as well. Now, the thing about, if you're going out this way, you're going to go through some dunes. There's an awful lot of sand on the road, so just be careful with your back wheel. But there's a beautiful view out here. So here you'll hit the beach, and over there in the distance is Mount Brandon. There's just some really beautiful views from here, and it's a nice drive down. Coming back off the Maharees, we're going to head out along here, and then we're going to head up this mountain road. We're going to go through a little village here, and we're going to go up the mountain road to the top of the mountain, and that's called Brandon Point. Again, it's a dead end, but it's well worth the effort to get there. Little car park at the top. As you can see, it's one of the Wild Atlantic Ways, and you see there's the Wild Atlantic Way signs that I mentioned in the overview video. But you get to look back out across the bay, and it's you can actually hike up to the top of this mountain. There's an old lookout point there from World War II, looking out for ships. But it's a beautiful spin up here. From there, we're going to come back down, and then we're heading for one of the more iconic points of the whole place, and that's up here. That's the Clogher Pass. Before we go into the Clogher Pass on this trip, down at the bottom of the Clogher Pass in the valley, there's a set of lakes and everything. So if I can just click on the road up to the Clogher Pass itself, you'll see there's a bunch of lakes over here. The Clogher Pass itself is further up the mountain, but there's this set of lakes, and there's an old ruin, an old medieval ruin or an ancient ruin. Now there's a road that goes down through this valley and brings us up towards these lakes that I've wanted to explore for the last few trips, and that's this road here. So I've put it in on this journey, and I'm hoping to get down, if I can go to Street View, hoping to get down onto this this road and have a slightly closer look at the lakes. So the lakes are over here, you just can't see them from this vantage. And there's an old ruined, village in there that I believe is 12 to 1500 years of age. So I want to try and get the drone over that. So if I can get down there, great. If not, I'm not going to worry about it. We'll continue on up, and then we'll get to the Clogher Pass itself. And the Clogher Pass, again, it's just one of these iconic roads in Ireland. As you can see, it's very narrow. It goes up over the lakes I just spoke about. It's a beautiful road. You won't believe it when you get onto it. And then there's a car park up near the top of it here that you can pull in and get a better look out over the entire view. So there you go. Then the Clogher Pass itself will then drop us down into Dingle Village. We won't stop it, even though we're going to stay there on the end of this day. We're not going to stop at this point. We're going to continue on out now up here. There are no roads here. This is a mountain, so there's nothing to get up to here unless you go hiking. And if you did want to go hiking, there's a beautiful point here. It's a dead end, but brings you up to a car park to the far side of Mount Brandon. And if I go to Street View, you can see there's the little car park. Then it turns into a hiking path, goes up to the mountain. But it has some fantastic views back towards Ballyferriter and out over the peninsula. Coming back in off that dead end, we'll continue on, and then we get up to point 12, and point 12 is Brandon Creek. Again, it's another little dead end, but it's a beautiful little pier. If I can just click on it in Street View here. So you can see, you can get down to it along here and out and drive right out onto the pier itself, and it's beautiful. When the sun is shining, this is a turquoise green. It's absolutely beautiful. And just in behind this headland here is a really rocky inlet. Like, it's absolutely stunning. You'll actually drive over it when you're coming down. coming out then from Brandon Creek, we'll continue along the main route down through here. It's just a waypoint, and then we'll go out to point number 14. And point number 14, point number 14 is the Gallarus Oratory. The Gallarus Oratory is it's an old kind of church. It was put up, they believe, somewhere between 800 to 1200 years ago, and it's absolutely stunning. The thing about it is that if I can just get a picture of it from the outside, that's inside it. Oh, that's inside it again. Oh, everybody's taking pictures on the inside of it. There it is. So that's the oratory. Now apparently there was no cement or anything used making this. Well, stories conflict on that, but it's totally hand carved. So if you can imagine, it's 1200 years old, and the stonework on it is so good and so precise that the interior of it is completely bone dry. No, it's totally watertight. No water has ever gotten through it, and it's still standing 1200 years later. It's a beautiful piece of history. You can go into it now. What I would say is there is a visitor centre that you can go to. Now, if you go into the visitor centre, obviously they'll charge you. There's a car park there. But if you follow my route here, it'll bring you up to a little side gate where you can totally bypass the visitor centre if you just want to walk up to it. So here you go. Here you'll drive up this road. There's a little inlet there. Sometimes it's full of cars, and there's the gate. And you walk down, and there you can see the oratory itself. So you literally just park in here, walk down there, and then you're at it. The visitor centre is down here. If you don't want to park in there and pay whatever it is they're looking for, you can bypass it here. It's a public access area. They can't stop you from going in here. But by all means, go and visit the visitor centre if you want to get some more information or buy some gifts to do with it. It's well worth going in. So then, leaving the Gallarus Oratory, and absolutely don't miss it. It's a must-see place. Then we'll go out. A couple of little points here is Wine Strand, a beautiful little strand. We'll continue on from Wine Strand, and then out here you'll see this little kind of peninsula within a peninsula. You can go out here to Dunquin Fort, or Fort del Oro, and that was a kind of an old, very rudimentary fort used during the Desmond Rebellion in 1580. So it's ancient. A lot of people were killed there. There was a battle there right on the coast itself. There's not a lot to see about it, but it's so ancient. It's such an interesting little site, and it's a nice drive out to it. It doesn't take too long to get out. Well worth the effort to go out and see. Then we go on to point number 17, Clogher Strand, or Clogher Strand. Again, this is just a beach, but it's an absolutely stunning little beach. If I can just go to street view here, a little dead end with a little car park on it, but it's as you can see, it's always quite wild. The last time I was there, you could see a couple of dolphins swimming between the two peninsulas here. You can't actually swim in it. The currents in it are so strong. I believe it was used in the movie Far and Away, as well as a few other ones, but it's a beautiful spot. Don't miss it. Absolutely stunning, particularly if the weather is good. As I said, it's a dead end, so you'll come out and you'll follow the road then out, and then excuse me. From there you'll go down through here and then you'll hit point number 18. Now 18, this is another iconic spot. This is Dunquin Pier, and if you're on Instagram, I'll be amazed if you've never seen a picture of Dunquin Pier. There's a couple of really iconic pictures for this, but you shouldn't miss this point. And if you can, walk right down to the bottom of the pier. It's extremely steep. Once you see that shed, that is essentially the entrance to the pier. You can park along here, there's the sign, and then walk down here. But the pier itself is absolutely stunning. This is obviously taken at the bottom of the pier. They have a couple of sea stacks here. Let me see if I can get a better picture. So yeah, there's the vantage point that the iconic pictures are taken. You can see the pier goes down, winds its way all the way down. These beautiful rocks jutting out of the sea. It's just a stunning point. A few people have attempted to get their cars down this, but it's too steep, too tight and too narrow, and they've had their cars jammed in there. They've had to get them professionally removed, but it's an absolutely amazing point. While you're there, right next to it is Peg Sayers' grave. Peg Sayers is a historical figure within Irish culture, and she's buried here at this point here, right beside Dunquin. She was originally born and lived on the Blasket Islands over here, and she's buried here so that she can look back towards the Blasket Islands. And then you get up here, which is another iconic part of the drive, and this is called Slea Head Drive. We're going to go around here. You can stop here for Coominhole or Coominhole Beach. There used to be an old shipwreck here, but it's a beautiful beach. If I go to Street View, you can see there's the beach itself. There's a little pier that goes down onto it. Another beautiful point, but we're going to drive out along the coast here around the head. So as I said, we're going to continue on here, and at this point here you get to what's called Slea Head itself. If I go to street level, it's a bend. You can see a lot of people stop here because it has absolutely amazing views all the way around back towards where you've just come from. There's an iconic statue here, the Jesus Christ statue, and then it continues on out along here. Unbelievable drive. And then you get into some really historic sites. You're going to continue on along here. Point number 22 is the beehive huts. The old beehive huts, again, they're ancient, thousands of years old. You can go and see them. You'll see they're very like the ones that were on Skellig Michael in the Star Wars movie. And then when you continue on along here, you'll come to Doonbeg Fort, again, an ancient old fort that's been there for thousands of years. Well worth to stop in, particularly now because erosion is starting to take away all the cliffs, so they won't be there in a few years. You know, they'll start to slowly fall into the ocean. And then you can continue on along the coast, and that will bring us basically all the way back into Dingle. Now again, we're not going to stop in Dingle just yet. We've still a bit to go. We're going to make our way out, and we're going to hit point number 24. Point number 24 is Minard Castle. It's a beautiful castle down a little backcountry road. Again, well worth the effort to get down. There's the castle itself, right on the coast, looking out over the beach. I have some drone footage of that actually. It's a nice little spot. And then from there, we're going to make our way out, to point number 15, which is Inch Beach. So Inch Beach is a beautiful beach that runs the whole length of this peninsula here. If I can just see if I can get a nice photograph of it. You can see there's the beach itself. It's really long, and in the sun, it's absolutely stunning. And then from Inch Beach, we're going to make our way back up, and this is where we're going to start. This is just a waypoint. There's not really a lot to see here. But then we're going to head out to here, which is point number 27, which is the South Pole Inn. Now, if you've never heard of the South Pole Inn, it is a pub that was the home to what I feel is Ireland's greatest hero, and that's Tom Crean. And Tom Crean was an Antarctic explorer. He was an Irish man who joined the British Army back in about 1912 or somewhere like that. But he was on all three of the expeditions to the South Pole. So he was with Scott of the Antarctic on that fateful journey, and he was on the Endurance, which was an unbelievable story. If you've never heard of the story of Shackleton and the Endurance and the crew of the Endurance and what they went through, well, this man was on that journey. He was actually critical to that whole story. And he bought this little pub and retired here. He's from this village, Annascaul in Kerry. And if you read the story of Scott and of Shackleton and of Tom Crean, there's books of Tom Crean himself. It's just one of the best true life stories you'll ever read in your life. He's literally, in my mind, Ireland's greatest hero. He's absolutely unbelievable, a legend. And then not far from him, just if you take a little back laneway, you'll go up to two really good points. Down this little back road here, you'll get to Annascaul Lake. Now the thing about Annascaul Lake is, the thing to know about it is that there's a gate. So if you want to get down to the lake itself, you'll eventually come to this gate. Don't let that put you off. Get off your motorbike, open the gate, drive through, close the gate behind you, because there's livestock in here. That's why the gate is there. But once you're past the gate, you can continue on down and drive onto the lake. Now it's a dead end, as I said, but it's absolutely stunning. Well worth the effort to get into it. I believe Tom Crean would have often come here in his youth. It's absolutely stunning. So when you come out of Annascaul Lake, then you're going to cut back over. And before we go back, you're going to take a little narrow back road here to point 29. And point 29 brings you to Tom Crean's grave, if you're in any way interested in the history of it. So there's a little inlet here. See, there's the cemetery there. It's a very unusual cemetery. It's all above ground, these little tombs. There's the gate into it. You can just pull in here, and it's easy to find Tom Crean's grave. There's a little termacadam path in it. Just follow the path. It goes right the way to the back and then right the way across to the far right-hand corner. And there you'll find Tom Crean's tomb. Now, a lot of people, the top of the tomb used to be covered in stones. People used to bring stones and little bits of memorabilia and leave them on top of the tomb. The family have since put up a sign to say that they don't want people leaving anything there. So obviously respect their wishes, but by all means go and visit his grave and pay your respects to Tom Crean. Obviously, you know, be very respectful and be careful there. But it's well worth a visit. He's just such a legend. I think it's well worth to go and just pay respect to him, see his tomb, see where he was buried, and just and pay, you know, a nod to such an amazing man. But it's definitely well worth the effort to get into it. Again, it can be a bit narrow and tight in there, so be careful on those roads. But once you come out of Tom Crean's grave, then you're heading out onto the main road, and then you'll take this roller coaster of a road all the way back along here, and then you get back to Dingle. Now, I always stay. There's only one place for me to stay when I'm in Dingle, and that's the Dingle Bay Hotel. Let me see. This one here, Dingle Bay Hotel, and they've only got a couple of rooms that face out towards the ocean, so always try and get a room there. And you see the little alleyway here brings you up to a little car park at the back. You can stick the bike up there. Absolutely legendary spot. Always really taking great care of me there. You know, I can't recommend it enough. So that's the whole Dingle Peninsula done. And you'll get all of that done in a day. It's not a big peninsula at all. You know, if you're leaving Killarney, you know, certainly no later than 9:30, 10 in the morning, you should pull into to Dingle at about 6:30, no later than 7 o'clock, depending on how much photographing and stopping you did. But it's an absolutely legendary drive. Now, I'm sure I've missed a few bits and bobs off it, you know, but as I say, I don't do every point every year. That's the one I'm going to do this year. But if you know of anywhere that I've left out that's definitely worth the trip, just drop me a line and I'll add it to my repertoire. So that's the Dingle Peninsula. So that's basically the peninsulas themselves all done. The next section we'll go through is basically the route home, but that does take in a large section of the Wild Atlantic Way that we'll go on through next, and a couple of little bits that we'll add into that, but it's quite short. So we'll go through that next.